Tonight, when the lights go off, you don't really think about the night. It's just the leftover part of the day. A few hours to scroll, to watch something, to fall asleep. Quiet, but not meaningful. Empty, in a way. But for most of human history, the night was not empty at all. It was a different world. A world that began the moment the sun disappeared. And if you had lived back then, your life wouldn't just change at night. It would become something else entirely. Imagine the sun setting without warning lights, without glowing screens, without anything waiting for you indoors. The sky darkens quickly. The colors fade. The shapes of things soften and then disappear. And suddenly, your world shrinks. Not metaphorically, physically. Beyond a few steps, you can't see anything at all. The night isn't just dark. It's deep. It surrounds you in every direction. And in that darkness, something very subtle happens. You slow down. Your body begins to follow a rhythm that isn't yours anymore. It belongs to the fire. For ancient humans, fire was not just warmth or protection. It was the center of the night. A small circle of light in an endless field of black. And inside that circle, something unique began to emerge. People gathered. Not because they planned to, but because there was nowhere else to go. Outside the firelight, there was uncertainty. Inside it, there was presence. Faces became visible again. Eyes reflected the flame. Voices softened. And this is where the night began to change them. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer societies, like the Hadza, have noticed something interesting. Their days are practical. They hunt, they gather, they solve immediate problems. Conversations are short, focused. But at night, something shifts. Around the fire, conversations become longer, more abstract. They tell stories. Not just about the day, but about things that don't exist in front of them. Spirits, ancestors, possibilities. The mind opens. And slowly, the night becomes a place where imagination lives. There's a study by Polly Wiesner, who spent years observing these patterns. She found that during the day, almost all conversations were about tasks, food, tools, coordination. But at night, over 80% of conversations shifted to storytelling. Myths, personal experiences, lessons, even humor. It's a quiet transition, but it changes everything. Because storytelling isn't just entertainment. It's how humans began to understand themselves. In the flicker of firelight, something unusual happens to your perception. The light is unstable, moving, alive. Shadows stretch and collapse. Faces look different from moment to moment. And your brain, without realizing it, starts to fill in the gaps. You begin to imagine more than you see. This is where some researchers believe early symbolic thinking strengthened. Not in the brightness of day, but in the uncertainty of night. There's another pattern that feels almost impossible today. Ancient humans didn't always sleep the way you do. They didn't close their eyes for 8 continuous hours. Instead, they often slept in 2 phases. Historians call it segmented sleep. The first sleep would come soon after dark. Then, after a few hours, they would wake up. Not fully alert, not restless, just awake. And this waking period could last for an hour or 2, in the quiet of the night, with only the fire or moonlight around them. And then, eventually, they would fall into a second sleep until dawn. This wasn't a rare habit. References to this pattern appear in medieval texts, personal journals, even medical writings. It was so normal that no one thought to question it. And during that time between sleeps, people didn't rush back to bed. They sat, reflected, talked quietly. Some even described it as the most peaceful part of the day. In the 1990s, a psychiatrist named Thomas conducted an experiment. He placed participants in complete darkness for 14 hours a day over several weeks. At first, their sleep was irregular, but gradually, something remarkable happened. Without any instruction, their bodies returned to a segmented pattern. 2 periods of sleep, with a calm, wakeful gap in between. It wasn't forced. It was remembered. That quiet interval is something most people today never experience. Because the night is no longer allowed to unfold. It's interrupted. Filled, pushed back. Artificial light changed everything. When humans learned to extend the day, the night began to lose its structure. First with candles, then lamps, then electricity. And eventually, the night stopped being a distinct experience. It became just a darker version of the day. But something subtle was lost in that transition. Because the night wasn't just about darkness. It was about limitation. And those limitations created a different kind of awareness. When you can't see far, you listen more. When you can't move easily, you stay still longer. When there's nothing to do, your thoughts become louder. Not chaotic, just present. In the past, night was one of the few times when humans weren't occupied. There were no tools to fix, no fields to tend, just the slow passing of time. And in that space, people didn't just rest. They processed. The day settled inside them. Memories formed differently. Connections deepened. Even the sky played a role. Without light pollution, the stars weren't distant points. They were overwhelming. A vast, visible structure stretching across everything. And if you spent enough nights looking at it, you would start to ask questions. Not loudly, not urgently, but quietly. The kind of questions that don't need immediate answers. Across cultures, many of the earliest myths and belief systems are tied to the night sky. Constellations weren't just patterns. They were stories, guides, explanations for things that couldn't be explained during the day. The night gave humans something the day couldn't. Distance, from tasks, from noise, from certainty. And in that distance, something deeper began to form. Now, the night feels different. It's still there, technically, but it doesn't arrive the same way. You don't notice it taking over. You don't feel your world shrinking. You don't gather around a single point of light. Instead, the light follows you. Into your room, into your hands, onto your face. And because of that, the transition never really happens. Your mind stays in the rhythm of the day, even when it's supposed to rest. Sleep becomes compressed. Thoughts become fragmented. Silence becomes uncomfortable. It's not that something dramatic was taken away. Nothing obvious. Just small things. A slower pace. A natural pause. A different kind of attention. If you stepped outside tonight and removed everything artificial. No lights. No sounds. No distractions. At first, it would feel unfamiliar. Maybe even unsettling. But if you stayed long enough, something would begin to shift. Your eyes would adjust. Your hearing would sharpen. Your thoughts would stretch out instead of racing. And in that moment, you might feel something that used to be normal. Not excitement. Not fear. Just awareness. The kind that doesn't come from doing more, but from having less. Ancient humans didn't just survive the night. They lived inside it. They listened to it. Thought within it. Changed because of it. And now, the night is still here. Waiting in the same way it always has. But most people never really enter it anymore. And because of that, they never quite experience what it used to give.